right, we're recording. Okay, everyone, I see lots of people jumping on. I'm just waiting for Hayley to jump on, and I'm waiting for a couple of other people to jump on because it's not yet 9:30 and I don't want to start too soon, even though I'm super excited to share with all of you all the exciting things so that you can recruit like a rock star. I'm just so excited. I have so much amazing content for you guys, and we are going to try to keep it in 30 minutes, but of course we get carried away sometimes. And we just want to share all of the things with you, right? Like everything we want to share with you. So I'm super excited. Hayley will be jumping on in a second. I guess we're going to get started here in a minute. Hey everyone, I see you guys jumping on, and Hayley's coming on here any minute now. All right, I'm gonna wait another minute for her to jump on. I hope that she can get on. We have so much stuff to cover for you, and I'm super excited. Okay, so I'm gonna get started. She's coming on here. I know that it's 6:30 Pacific time for her. So she is in the middle of getting all of her kids ready for bed, and she wanted to jump on here because her plans fell through to watch her children, but she still wants to be here to share all of her knowledge with you guys today. So welcome to the Recruit Like a Rockstar Masterclass with Kristen Samaniego. I'm the creator of More to Motherhood, and Hayley Zeidman. She is a part of the Wellness Warriors, and so she is going to be on here very shortly. But since it is 9:30 and I value your time, I'm going to make this super quick. Within 30 minutes, we're going to share all this amazing content that we have for you. And so the first thing I want to ask all of you here, because obviously you're here for a recruiting masterclass. So what's your biggest struggle with recruiting? So I want you to drop your biggest struggle below with recruiting. This is a safe space. What is your biggest struggle? Is it how to close? Is it what to say? Is it how to attract teammates? Is it once you attract them, you're not really sure how to get them on board? Is it the posture and the conversation that you're having with them that's the reason why they're not joining? So what is your biggest struggle? Hey, yay, Hayley is on. Okay, I was just starting to have them drop their biggest struggle in the comments with recruiting. So obviously this is Recruit Like a Rockstar Masterclass. So we're just kicking it off. And so then I want to let you guys know that I want you to drop your questions in the chat at the very end. So if you have questions, please don't type them because I don't want to have to scroll back and read them. We're going to go through the whole masterclass, and then at the end we will have a brief Q&A session. So if you have a question that pops up in your head, then you're just going to write it down, and then at the end we'll open this up for Q&A. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that. So drop your biggest challenge with recruiting in the chat. I see a lot of people saying attraction is really hard. They're having a hard time attracting the right teammates. So we are totally going to talk about that as well. So I'm super glad that you guys are here because we're going to give you some awesome tips. So before we start, I just wanted to share a little bit about me because if you're struggling, and you can let me know if you feel like you're struggling to recruit, if you feel like you're struggling in business, I just want to let you know that I have been in network marketing for over 4.5 years, almost 5 years now. And I started off for a long time struggling. For really the first 4.5 years of my network marketing career, if you want to call it that, I was really struggling with, recruiting. Like you guys, I was really struggling. I had a ton of customers, but I was struggling with recruiting. My paycheck wasn't where I wanted it to be. And I was just feeling really frustrated because I felt like my upline kept telling me over and over again the same things. And I didn't have the training and I didn't have the leadership. And I was just like, I don't understand. Like, I'm doing all the things. I was going to events. I was schlepping my kids to parties and presentations and all of these things. And I kept inviting people and I kept doing the same thing over and over again. And eventually it came to a point for me at a crossroads this past December where I don't know if any of you know my story, but I really needed to make finances work for me. And I was either like, and my husband was not on board. So I was either like, I'm going to not do network marketing ever again because maybe I'm just not cut out for it, or I'm going to give it one last try and it's going to work out for me. It just has to. And so I refused to give up. I'm not a quitter. I refused to give up. And I was like, you know what, maybe I just wasn't with the right company. Maybe I didn't have the right things. Maybe I didn't have the right tools. Maybe it wasn't the right product for me. Whatever that was, I just didn't feel 110% aligned with all of the bullet points that I needed in a company, like leadership, product, training, systems, automation, mindset. I didn't have all of those things, but I felt like I knew in my gut I could do this. I could make this business happen. I'm a go-getter. I wanted it really bad. I had the drive. And so I just decided that I was going to go after it one more time. So I'm here to tell you not to give up, because I was struggling for 4.5 years before I found my perfect fit with my current company. And now we have all these amazing tools that we're going to share with you tonight. So that's just a little bit about my background. And I want Hayley to share a little bit about her so you guys get to know us. And then she's going to kick it off with our first tip. So I'm going to have Hayley start sharing. Can you unmute yourself, Hayley, or do I want? Let me see.
There we go. Got it.
Perfect.
Okay, so my story is very similar to Kristen's. I've been in network marketing for 5 years, and forgive me, I have a baby right here. So I've been in network marketing for about 5 years, and again, just like Kristen, never really had any success. It was always a very lonely experience for me as well. So my first company, I remember I joined, and the millionaire who enrolled me, she just gave me a couple links and she's like, oh, go look this stuff up. And I watched all these videos and I was like, okay. And, I could get some customers. I did, but I never attracted anybody into my downline. And then the next product I fell in love with, same thing, same story. So I learned and I enrolled and I sold a lot of product, but I never attracted anyone to my downline. And then, it continues, but eventually in the next company I did attract a few people, but nothing on the scale of what I've done with my final company. And it really was that I had to figure some things out. And it is such a better fit for me because of some of these things that we're going to share for you. Just that, I found something where I don't feel like I'm alone, and that's super important to me. And the support is there, and that's one of the most important things. Did I leave anything out?
No, so I think the thing too is that, so when we found, and we're going to share how we did this, but when we found we joined pretty much almost like a month apart. But when we found this company, when we found all the things that we were looking for, we were able to, Hayley is one of my top recruiters on my team. She's amazing. So you heard her say she wasn't attracting anyone into her downline. And then now she's like a Rockstar recruiter. So really, for me, I think some of you know, I was able to earn my car bonus in 3 weeks, and I'm going to let Hayley share her own successes, but we built a huge team. I built a huge team to over 80,000 in sales. I have right now, I think, over 300 and something people in my downline. I haven't even been in business for a year, and my paycheck is more than I could have ever imagined. I was only making a couple $100s before with the other companies I have, and now I can earn quite a bit more. I have to be careful not to make any financial claims, but I'm able to do a lot more for my family with that. with that kind of money in our lives. And so it's been a huge blessing because I've been able to give to my children and my son especially. If you've ever heard me say that I had to take therapy away from him at a time that we were struggling, this has been able to afforded me the ability to provide him that and our family with so many more options and so much more freedom and choices. And so I know Hayley, since doing some of these things that we're going to share with you tonight has also had similar success. So I'm going to let her share, and then you can go right into our first tip.
Sure. So I was also able to earn my auto bonus in 3 weeks, just right after watching you. I remember watching you and being like, man, if I could just get a little bit of that success, because before, financially, I was just doing it kind of to get my product for free. And that was really the extent of it. I wasn't making a meaningful contribution to my family. And, for me, a lot of it's about like your self-worth and like, I wanted to be compensated for my time. And here I was pouring all this time into these businesses, and I wasn't being compensated. And that was extraordinarily frustrating to me. And so it was really important to have that financial aspect. And I remember thinking, that I also didn't have it in me to do one more. But thankfully everything lined up and I couldn't find a reason not to do it. And so, sometimes it is just finding the right opportunity. But yeah, I was able to grow in 7 weeks a business that does $40,000 a month, and I've made at least 5 times more than my whole network marketing career prior. So it's pretty substantial. But it is so my belief as to where it starts for me, and some of the things that I think are really key to me being successful is your authenticity, number one. So this is point number one that we have, authenticity and your know, like, and trust factor. So for me, it starts with the know, like, and trust factor. What this is, can people go to your Facebook page and say, oh, I know Hayley. Oh yeah, I'm comfortable with her. It is so important. You may not think, well, what is posting pictures of your kids on Facebook and pictures of your face on Facebook have to do with having a successful business? But here's the bottom line on that. Would you want to join the team of somebody that you don't know? Would you want to buy something from somebody that you don't know? You don't. So, people have to feel comfortable with you. I remember I was dealing with this one woman and I was really not having a good time dealing with her. But the moment I found out she liked Disneyland, I was suddenly open to her. It just opens people up to you and lets them know that you're a human. So for me, I like the 5 pillars method. All this is you pick 5 aspects of your life, and I have arcing stories that I'm telling. One is about my curly haired daughter, and she's so silly. And then there's the boys and the family that does Taekwondo. And then I will throw in, I have my business success and that progress. And so all these stories are running and people are following, and they really feel like they know me. And that just opens so many doors for me. And so that to me is really key. And then another aspect to that, and there's 2 more aspects to that. The other thing is that, when you start doing these kind of businesses, you may do some self-reflection and really wonder, who am I? If you want to attract people, you have to know who you are. What am I? Because if you don't know what you're trying to attract, you're not going to attract it. And so for me, in past businesses, they weren't really me. And so they weren't authentic to me. I am somebody who is crazy obsessed with wellness. And I was trying to do something that before this, that was kind of off the mark. It was a stretch, to say the least. And so really stepping back into that has allowed me to attract people just like me and really aligning myself with my business. I feel that is a very important fact that happened for me. And then lastly, one of my observations over the years of doing network marketing for 5 years, and I've been in the room with top earners in very intimate settings, picking their brains, trying to, how do you do it? and one of the things that I really noticed, and I took note of this, kind of filed it away, is that they can always concisely tell their story like it's nothing. And they tell it all the time. They tell it to anybody who will listen. I mean, when it's appropriate, it sounds so natural. But what they're doing when they're telling their story, and it's business and product story, is they're really bringing the emotions online. And that is so important. Humans are hardwired to listen to stories, to react to stories. So, sometimes joining a business, it can be an emotional decision, and you want your emotions involved in that decision. And so you really do need to build those emotions online. And so I became a master storyteller, and that's one of the things that I learned from you and from another woman that we work with, Kimberly, is just really how important it is to tell the story, and a way to tell the story that we could just freely tell it. But I will tell my story at parties. I have gained promoters by just telling my story at parties. I will do it. I've gained customers that way as well. People will self-select and let you know where they're at that moment. But it all starts with being able to talk about your business in a way that gets those emotions online. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's so amazing. And I love that you said that, because one of the trainings that I was at Top Summit, this guy, he's an author, his name's Ty Bennett. He says that it's so important, just like you said, to be able to tell your story and evoke emotion from people, because we are emotional beings. And so when you make that connection, then they know they have this connection to you, an emotional bond to you, because they connected with a piece of your story that resonated with them in their life. And then that builds, again, that like, know, and trust factor, because they're like, okay, now Hayley is a real person. I totally understand where she's coming from. A lot of people understand where I'm coming from when I have a son with special needs. It just makes that connection and that bond stronger. And then over time, they're following you, they're following your journey, like Hayley said. And it's just so powerful, because people say, and I'm sure, let me know if you've heard this before, when you get people to join your team, they say, I'm not very good at sales. Okay, I can't count how many times I've heard that. And we all know here that you don't have to be a good salesperson to sell this business. You have to be a good storyteller and sharer of information to be successful in this business. So if you do not know your story yet concisely, this is the time to, after this call tonight, to write down your story and kind of consolidate it, hitting all those pain points of your avatar. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about right now, because knowing who your avatar is and being able to speak to them will also build your like, know, and trust factor. So what do I mean by avatar? It's not that blue character in the movie or that little thing on your phone. It's actually your target audience. So who are you trying to attract? And Hayley kind of alluded to this, because she's trying to attract people similar, like-minded to her, that are focused on business, that want to go out there and crush it. But there's also pain points to that, right? So for me, my avatar, and I'll just share with you what mine is, because I don't mind, there's abundance all over, right? And so my personal avatar, the people that I'm willing to serve and I'm wanting to serve the most, is moms, especially, but women in a larger sense, but moms who have multiple children, who are struggling with feeling overwhelmed, but wanting more time freedom with their family and with their children. So that's a pain point that's not necessarily product related, right? And they want to have something more for them, because they're sick and tired of the decision fatigue that we go through as moms, making every single little decision that we have to make for our family, our children, our finances. I mean, many of us run this household, right? And we need something for us, because my avatar tends to forget about herself and focuses on her family, and then has that mom guilt when she actually does something for herself, right? So knowing who your avatar is, some product related pain points from my avatar is she's exhausted. She's addicted to coffee, and she's just struggling with her body image and self-confidence, and she wants to lose some weight, because I'm in health and wellness. Now for you, obviously it might be something different, but knowing who you want to serve is super important in your messaging and developing that know, like, and trust factor, because you cannot help everyone. As much as I would love to help everyone, when I'm communicating online through social media and trying to attract business builders, I need to attract a specific person, and I need to speak to that person in a way that they're going to feel connected with me, right? And that's where stories come in, because I'm sharing my story, and when I do that, I'm connecting with my avatar. So that's a super important point that I just want to share is you want to really know who you want to serve. So if you're unclear on that, that's definitely a starting point for you moving forward before you're going to be able to attract those business builders. Like a lot of you were saying, I want to attract business builders to me. And so I'm going to get into that a little bit more with DMO. So your daily method of operation. So basically your DMO, you want to, and I'm going to relate this back to generating leads and avatar again. So hang tight with me. But your DMO is basically, if you're not doing the things in activity that you need to be doing to build this business, you're not going to attract those rock stars. You're not going to be able to recruit those people. And the reason why I've been able to attract those rock stars is because I'm speaking to my avatar. I'm going for the go-getters. I'm not going for the please anyone just sign up for me with my business. I'm begging you. Those are not the people that I'm trying to attract, right? So I'm trying to attract the influencers, the people that are really into health and wellness coaches like Hayley, those rock stars. So when you're doing your reach outs, you're looking at people's pages, and I know everyone hates reach outs, right? And we all just want all the people to come to us, but we have to put in a little bit of the reach outs. But the more you're consistent on social media, which I'm going to get to, the less reach outs you're going to have to do, and the more attracting you're going to do. But we still do reach outs, right? Because we're building our business depending on where we are. So you want to do reach outs, but you want to look at the person's profile that you're reaching out to. You want to know a little bit about them and be a Facebook friend. You're not just going to spam them and friend them and be like, hey, want to check out my stuff? Because we don't do that, right? We're being authentic, like Hayley said. We want to really get to know, like, and trust them and develop that relationship with them so that they become a long-term member of our team. Those people that are just quick signups that we don't know, they probably aren't going to stay with your business. So really reaching out to people, when you're reaching out to people, reach out authentically, get to actually know them, but don't beat around the bush either. So I know this is a fine line, and I think a lot of network marketers struggle with this, is like you start a conversation because you're like, I'm making a connection. And then you make a connection for like 3 days. And then you're like, by the way, I have this awesome opportunity or business. And then you shove it in and it's like awkward, where they're like, okay. So you want to develop a connection, but you also want to get to the point. So you know this person, you're sharing with them. Maybe they're kind of a cold lead. Your friends on Facebook. So one of the things you can say to them is you ask them, what they're doing, what they do for work. That's one of my favorite questions to ask people because it's so common to ask someone what they do for a living. And I get to know them and I get a feel for them, right? Like, would they be open? And sometimes I just ask the question. If they're like, oh, I'm with this, I'm doing this banking thing, finances, I've never really done network marketing. Maybe I considered it. Well, why don't you take a look? Don't you owe it to yourself? And this is one of the phrases I say, there's no obligation, but don't you at least owe it to yourself to check it out to see if it maybe could be something that would work for you and your family? I mean, it's an honest, open question. If they tell me no, I'm not insulted. I'm like, okay, totally understand, no worries. But you just want to ask if they're if they're open to checking it out, if they want to earn more income, find out what their pain point is. If they're struggling, you want to spend more time with your family, like I did, like earn more money. Like we have this awesome bonus program now. Would you be open to taking a look? Don't you owe it to your family and yourself to at least check it out? You could say no, but at least you know that you looked into it first, because wouldn't you want to at least know before you say no? And so a lot of people are super receptive to that because you're giving them an out. I give people an out all the time. I don't want people in my business that are not going to want to be here. So I don't convince. I'm not in the business of convincing. So I'm reaching out authentically, making those connections, having those conversations, and I'm not dragging on the conversation. I'm getting to the point, but in an authentic way where it's like a natural conversation. Like, what do you do for work? If you ask that question, that opens so many doors. So I really encourage you to just ask and then kind of take it from there. If you're friending people or people are friending you, make sure you're taking advantage of having that conversation. If you're just accepting random friend requests, then you're doing your business a disservice, because that's an opportunity that you could have had to make a connection. And so this is what I say to people when they send me a friend request. So there will be a replay. So if you miss it, then don't panic. But all I say is something super simple, and people are like, what? That's all you say? Yes, that's all I say, and it works. Like 95% of the people respond to this message. All I say is, hey, so-and-so, so hey, Susie, Thanks for connecting. I love connecting with new people. What had you curious to connect with me? And what do you do for work? Starts off the conversation just like that, and we go into it and we get to know each other. I know what she does for work, and then I figure out if I want to work with her or not, and then I ask the question. So that's how that conversation goes, but I'm super nonchalant about it. And I think that's a key to the whole thing too, is because you want to have posture. You don't want to sound desperate when you're like, hey, what do you do for work? Okay, I have this awesome business that's going to be amazing. You want to check it out? You want to join? So just make sure that you have the posture there too. Let them respond before sending them more information. Don't just bombard them with a ton of info, because that turns people off. And then the other thing is, and Hayley will definitely be able to attest to this, is follow up. Be tenacious in your follow-ups, and find a reason to circle back with people. So that's really all I'm going to say about that, because I could go on about how I follow up with people, but I always find a way to circle back with people, whether it's my business or whether it's personal. So I don't always circle back with people for my business. I'll circle back with them on a personal note. And then after a couple, conversations get started again, then I'll ask about the business again. So I don't just drop the conversation altogether, but I do find other ways to follow up with them. Social media posts. So really quick, because I'm talking a lot, but I want to share all these points with you. So social media posting, and this is where you're going to talk to your avatar, because this is part of your DMO. You should be doing these things every day. All of these things that I just mentioned, reaching out, making connections, making new friend requests, and sending them a message, following up, and then doing your social media posts. So with your social media posts, this is where the attraction marketing piece is going to come in, because you want to attract people to you, and do less reach outs, right? Because that's way more fun. So with attraction marketing, like Hayley alluded to, also you have your pillars. So you're going to be sharing about various aspects of your life, like she said. And the other thing that I like to use to really generate a lot of leads, and if you're not utilizing this, you guys, you're missing a huge opportunity. Use stories. Use stories to no end. Use the poll feature, use the quiz feature. Those are my two favorites, because they select an option. If you do an open-ended question, people are very hesitant and unlikely to send you a message, okay? So I use the poll feature like crazy, you guys. You can ask a question. So for some examples, you could do a before and after. Who would want to, shed, who would want awesome results like this in my stories? And I show a before of me and an after of me, or of a teammate or a friend or a customer, and people vote. I always have 2 positive responses, because I'm not into negativity, right? So it's like a heck yeah, or a tell me how. Those are the options, and people are going to vote. And people love voting. They just like to click stuff, but then they voted. So that's your opportunity to reach out to them. And it's not this cold reach out. It's a warm reach out. They've already, connected with you. They've already watched your story. They've already voted. So I've done a couple things product related and business related. So another example I did was, we have a supplement for sleep. And so I am like, I can't fall asleep. My brain will not shut off. And so I had a picture, but it didn't show the product name. And I said, are you the type of person that falls asleep immediately, or do you toss and turn all night? And people voted. And then I reached out to them. If they said toss and turn, I was like, I got something for you. I want to help you. That's a pain point. People want to be able to sleep, right? I love me some sleep. So that's another example. For a business example, you guys could, like, for example, I've been using, what would $4,000 or $12,000 extra do for your family? So in my poll, that's my post, but in my poll, I would say, if you had $4,000 extra dollars right around the holidays, would you save it or would you spend it? Like, I just did 2 options. Or would you pay bills, or would you go on vacation? And I just put those options out there, and then they vote, and then I follow up with them. So these are just some examples, and you can do it on Instagram too, but I highly recommend using stories or posts on Facebook with options. So you can do an A and a B, and that gets you a lot of engagement. And then those people that actually respond, you're following up. If you're not following up, you're losing those leads, right? So that's super important. Make sure you're circling back with people on those on those posts and make sure you're following up. The one last thing I'm going to say about this, and then I'm going to let Hayley add whatever she wants to add, because I don't want to miss anything for you guys, is make sure you're widening your network. So I've heard a lot of people say, oh, I keep asking people, I keep asking the question, I keep sharing, but are you burning out your audience? Are you sharing with only the same people over and over and over again? So you have to be cognizant of that, because if you're sharing over and over and over again with the same people, and you're scared because you have your chicken list and you're not asking those people, you're not sharing with those people, one, you're doing them a disservice, because obviously you're with your company and you strongly believe in the product and the business model, or you wouldn't be there, and they need to hear about it. We have a running joke on our team that right now with what we have going on, we say the hashtag, the joke is, friends tell friends about 5-figure bonuses, right? So you have something amazing to offer, so you want to share it with them. So you want to make sure you're sharing that information with people. Otherwise, you're doing them a disservice. And you have to change that mentality, because you really need to be reaching out and sharing this to everyone. So don't burn out your network by only going back to the same people over and over again. Make sure you're widening that by doing reach outs to other people and expanding your network by friending and following and making connections with them. So that's all I really want to say about DMO. I know that's a lot, so you're probably going to have to go back and rewatch, but I just love giving all the information out there, because I want to see so many people having the success, and it just is something that really is a passion of mine. So Hayley, did you want to add anything? Let me unmute you. Where are you? Oh, hold on, unmute yourself, because I can't.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so you were talking about expanding your network and reach out, and that's amazing advice. I just wanted to talk a little bit more about that. So I look at it, as I'm making friends, and I don't get attached to the outcome. And I say, you know what? Because here's the bottom line: people aren't going to care what you're saying until they know you care. And so I really care about people. And so I'm looking to see if this is a good fit for them. Sometimes it's not a good fit, and guess what? We're still friends, and they know that. And so when I ask them to take a look, it's not weird. It's just a friend sharing, 5-figure bonuses or whatever you have to offer. And I'm a huge fan of the update. So I just, I want to update you on what we've got going on here. 100% volume bonus match. It's a tremendous, it's the best time I've seen. So that to me is the most, the least uncomfortable way to do a reach out, is just to give somebody an update. Somebody we've been talking, and then we go then I'll say, hey, I know you're going to want to hear about this, because I am so excited, and they know that I'm excited about it. So it's authentic. And I feel like most people can see my heart. They know I care, and they, and so they can tell that I'm, just sharing from my heart something that I think that might be a good fit for them. Might not, but it's just, I'm putting it out there, and I'm letting them know, and then it's up to them. Let's see. I do like to make friends in groups. So definitely it is very important to be always expanding your network. You want to go into groups where your avatar is hanging out, where those like-minded people, for me, my avatar has been in network marketing, but they're really frustrated with not making money. So I tend to just go and look for those, those kind of people to make friends with. But, I also believe that what I have to offer is good for people who have made money before. And so I don't prejudge, and I boldly share when I find it appropriate. So that's really key. Another thing, since we're talking about daily method of operation, that's what DMO means, is your mantras, your manifestations, working off that whiteboard to tell the universe what you are attracting. And I know some people are like, oh, that's wacky. That stuff works. Oh my goodness. The moment Kristen told me to start saying, I attract runners, oh my goodness, that's when my business blew up. And every single morning I am saying out loud, I attract runners. I attract runners. I attract runners. And it's happening, you guys. It happened, and it's happening over and over again. And then lastly, Kristen is the queen of follow-up. She has taught me so much with follow-up, but yeah, if somebody has, not responded to me or they're ghosting me, I don't take it personally. I just make sure I follow up again when I have another update. So, it's just one of those things where maybe they got busy, maybe they have a baby, maybe, life happens and it's not to the front of mind. But if they were interested and they haven't said no, keep following up and just, you gotta really just feel centered in your opportunity and not tied to the outcome. That was a huge mindset shift for me when I started to level up with my businesses. So that's all I have on DMO.
Love that. No, those are such good points. The mindset and the mantras. And I love that you say, I just want to update you, because that's such like an easy way to, follow up with people. So you guys need to write that down because I love it. I just want to update you. It's just so amazing. And not getting attached to the outcome either, because I know that people can feel like bummed out when people, when you get people saying no to you, and it happens, right? But just remembering that you're centered in your business, like Hayley said, such a good point, and you're just going to keep moving forward and you're not going to take it personally. And I think that was huge for me too. I think that happened like when I wasn't begging people to join my business and I was confident in what I had to offer, and I was just, boldly moving forward. And if people told me no, I just kind of completely detached from the outcome because I would get disappointed. So that has totally changed for me as well. And I think that that's an amazing point. Really quickly, I'm just going to talk about organization, because you want to make sure that you're treating this business. And if you're not, then that's part of your problem. You don't want to let people fall through the cracks, right? So if like follow-ups, how do you know who to follow up with? So a couple of the things, some people use an Excel spreadsheet. That's just not how my brain works. But you can use an Excel spreadsheet. We love Trello. I love Trello. It's free. Look it up, Trello.com, Trello.com. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this portion because I think you guys know what I'm talking about. But just making sure you have a list, and you can have, there's different ways of being organized, you guys. Before I used to only think, I can have a master list and then a follow-up list. No, now I organize my business by the posts that I do. So if I have a story like that one that I was telling you about, that's a list. And then I move them over. Then I have a different one and I move them over. So you can have different ways of being organized. And then also you have all your ideas saved so you can recycle content. So just make sure that you're not letting anyone fall through the cracks and that you're following up with them. And of course, I have my Trello board, but I have my whiteboard. It is ginormous, and my husband still loves me, and he lets me keep it in the living room. It's like 8 foot by 4 foot. You don't have to get one, but they have tile board at Home Depot. It's like $14, so there's no excuse to not have a whiteboard, and you can cut it to whatever size you want. But just staying in front of your business every single day and seeing those names on my list of like who I wanted to attract and what goals I had, and the people that I was talking to that I was excited about, that I knew that they wanted to join my team. Hayley was on my whiteboard. Like everyone on my team was on my whiteboard. I'm just letting you know that it's a real thing and it works. And I used to call it my magic whiteboard, and it still is magic because when I put names on that whiteboard, they come off when they're on my team. And I'm telling you that like 95% of people that I talk to, they go on the whiteboard because I'm like, I like this person. They're my avatar. They're the kind of people that I want on my team. They're the kind of people that I want to work with. And it works because I'm seeing their name, and it's just the energy of the way you reach out to people. So stay organized and get yourself a magic whiteboard. That's all I really want to say for organization, because we are giving a lot of content and we have been here for a while. Do you have anything you want to add to organization?
I would just say that, at a bare minimum, the whiteboard. And because I tend to be not much automation, I'm very individualization. So I will focus on individuals. And, but I do have a list, and I manifest diligently every single day who's on that whiteboard. I help my team do it. And that really works. And don't let your organization hold you back. You're definitely going to want to get organized, and that's very helpful. But I wouldn't say, I wouldn't use that as an excuse. I wouldn't use any of an excuse. I would just roll with it. When my business was, what's that?
I said, don't be obsessive. You don't have to be obsessive about the organization.
Yes. If you're like, I remember when my business was expanding so quickly, And I just felt like, oh my goodness, I can't keep up with all this. And I didn't have those organization systems in place, but you can, I would just roll with that momentum. You don't want to let that momentum go. Do the best you can. And then you can always go back and update it. So I wouldn't let that hold you back, if that makes sense.
Yes, I completely agree, because I've been there in the same place. When we were going crazy, I was not able to keep up with it, but the one thing I did keep up with was the whiteboard, because that's really quick and easy. So we're going to just talk to you really quickly about systems and leading from the front, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So I'm going to let Hayley start off with the systems that you in kind of trainings and team calls and things like that you guys should have in place that will really help you attract people, because people like to see that you have that leadership and those things in place for them to join into.
And this one's super important for me because it just past experience. Remember, I told you guys how lonely I felt in the past, how I just felt like I was just slugging it on my own, trying to figure it out. And so when I found something that had systems in place to onboard people in a simple and organized manner, where it's not incoherently tagging them in a gazillion groups or really nothing, leaving them out to, I know companies have their version of onboarding, but when there is something that's very, very simple, very specific, that you can just plug your team members into and then continue on your recruiting and really, so you don't have to do all that drudge work. So we use a bot, we use, a welcome video. It's all automated in one single group. And those really free up your time so that you're not getting bogged down with the new builders that you're bringing on. And then when they really need you and when it's really time to execute the plan, then you have the time to do that and dedicate that personalized attention. And so it just really, the systems set you free. And I'm so lucky because I walked into the systems and I was blown away, because it was the first time I'd ever experienced that, how useful it was in getting everybody on the same page. Additionally, weekly team trainings that are actually valuable. It's not a weekly cheerleading session, okay? It's a place where people go to learn, who are serious about their business, stay engaged and stay plugged into the team. It's really key to keep, there's a hierarchy of needs, and people do businesses for different reasons. And so one of the reasons why I do these kinds of businesses, I like money, but it's also for the fellowship, for the friendship. I'm also working on self-actualization. So I'm also working to grow my mindset, grow my skill sets. And so it's really wonderful, and it keeps people engaged on multiple levels if you can speak to those levels, if you can help them make money, if you can provide the tribe that they're looking for, if you can help them expand their mind and their skill sets, have trainings that address all the needs. That to me is invaluable. So that's where systems come in. And then lastly, systems to make sales. And so I'm involved with almost all of the sales in my team. We have a system to do it, so everybody knows what the plan is. Everybody, it's something, it's part of the onboarding, what the plan is. We reiterate it when I bring them on board, and then we practice a little bit, and, we make sure they're getting it. And that system that we use right there really helps us to help our brand new business owners, our brand new partners, to really make sales and to become successful in the business just like we were, and then start helping others. So those to me are just invaluable. And I'm just so blessed that we already had them in place. Do you have anything?
Yeah. So I was just going to say, I love it. It's so important, those systems. And then when she said, she is like there with her team, like helping them with all the sales. So there's a process. So it's just like, boom, boom, boom. Everyone knows what to do, but she's also able to be there for her team, and she's not tied to her phone 24/7 because she has a system. So I've heard from so many people in different companies say, oh my gosh, I have no work-life balance. I'm constantly tied to my phone. I'm feeling super crazy. I'm just feeling so burnt out. I've been doing this for 3.5 years. I'm so burnt out. Now my business is starting to slide, and now I feel like I have to work harder. And it's just this constant struggle. And so I really encourage you that if you don't have things like that we just mentioned, and your upline isn't interested in doing it, start trying to create some yourself. I mean, make your life easier, because even though it's going to take a little bit of effort in the beginning, it's going to pay off in the long run. So create a system with your current team, the people that you have. What's going to be the order of operations? What's going to be the funnel that you bring people through when you're onboarding them? What's going to free up your time? What things do they need to know to get started that you could put in a video? Or, what kind of team trainings do you have? I know for me, the team trainings that I was on were like, keep reaching out to people, reach out to as many people as you can, but I wasn't being told how. I wasn't being told kind of verbiage of what to say. I just felt like those team calls were like cheerleading sessions, like Hayley said, and they only shouted out the top people. And so for me, that was really discouraging, because I was working so hard, and I know Hayley can relate to this too. I was working so hard, and I never got recognized for any of my effort. And I love that on our team, on those team calls, not only are we providing the how, we're giving different ways and strategies, like some of the strategies that I just shared with you are strategies that I share with my own team. Like that story bit, like that is gold for us. Like the DMO, those things are things that I share, and those would be different trainings on our team. We don't share it all at once usually, but we're giving you all of this goodness because we want to provide value to you. We want to change the network marketing industry. We want you to feel successful. But these are just some of the things that we share on our 30-minute team call that we're sharing with you. So if you don't have these systems in place, definitely try to set them up. But our calls aren't cheerleading sessions. They tell you the how, they tell you what to do. They give you a simple action step, one thing to work on for the rest of that week. So you're learning, you're implementing, and then you're doing it. You're learning, and then you're doing it, and then you're teaching it to your team. Sorry. So, you're doing that process, and then it starts all over again. But the other thing that I love is that we're focused on activity on our team too. So even the people that are not at the top, that are not coming in number one or whatever, we're still shouting them out, because everyone deserves a seat at the table, and everyone has different goals, and we respect that. So that's something that I think is super important too. And I know that's really not part of systems, but I just think it's worth sharing, because everyone deserves a seat at the table. So even if they're not your top earner, maybe they only want to make an extra $300. Most people only do, and they're working at it. So reward that too. Don't only reward the superstars. So I think that that's just super important to mention. And then the last thing we want to talk about before we open up for Q&A is leading from the front. And Hayley does an amazing job of this with her team. She really paves the way. And that's, I know for me, that was, what I saw in my leadership that I have in my friends, Kimberly and Beth and Blair, is that they're leading from the front. They're paving the way. They're not sitting back and collecting a paycheck. They're actually doing the do. And so that's what Hayley does. And I just really want her to share this because she's a master.
Thank you, Kristen. So I used to be an Army officer. I spent 12 years in the military. I'm a West Point graduate. I have a master's in leadership and management. So it's one of my pet peeves when leaders don't lead. and so it's super important to me. And so what that looks like is leaders work their business every single day, no matter what's going on in their downline. I feel that it's an energetic certainty that you must work your business. The moment you stop working your business is the moment your business is going to start going there. That's not something that's fear-based. That's something that's, like attracts like. And so if you want people in your downline to keep working, you've got to keep working. You've got to continually show them what is possible. So for example, we just had a Jamaica trip. I was not able to go to the Jamaica trip. I always knew I could not go, but I wanted to earn it anyway to show my downline that yes, it can be done. Yes, this business is sustainable. And yes, I am working it for you. And so it's really important for me to show up for my business. It was really important to me as well. If I was going to do another business, remember I've had several businesses. This is my daughter right here. I wanted to make sure that my upline, my brand new upline, were serious people about business. And so there was a vetting process that I did, because I take this stuff it is so sacred to me. And I just knew that if I was going to work another business, I needed a professional upline that was dedicated to self-improvement, to leading the way, that would continue to work the business years down the road. And so that's what I was looking for. And it was very attractive to me that I found that in Kristen and Kimberly. And I think that, we're talking about attracting recruits. If you want to attract people that will continue to work their business, you need to be the kind of person who continues to work your business. You need to be the kind of person who leads from the front and is very serious about their business. So leaders do show people what's possible, but they also do every single day, and they don't stop. So if that's what you expect, if that's what you want for your downline, you earn that paycheck. I consider myself a servant leader. I'm constantly asking my team what they need, suggesting things. If they're struggling in the business, we'll do coaching calls. So it's very involved, but that's just and I know everybody's got their own business, and we're all doing business, but we're not alone in business. So it's our own business, but it's not doing it alone. So those are my values. And I would encourage anybody who wants to attract people to adopt those values and to get out there and say, no, I'm serious, and serious people need apply. That makes sense.
Right. Yes. I love that. Leading from the front is so important because people want to feel like they're being supported and like they're going to be with someone that's going to not only support them, but show them how to do the do. And if you're not doing it, then you're not leading by example. So obviously all you guys are doing the do because you're here right now on this Recruit Like a Rockstar Masterclass. And I just want to open it up to any questions that you guys may have before we close out. This is your chance to ask Hayley and I any questions that you may have before we close this call. So you can ask us really anything you want about recruiting and attracting rock stars. So I'll give everyone a minute to think about a question. If there's no questions, then we will close it out, and we will be sending out a replay of this call, How to Recruit Like a Rock Star. And I hope that you guys found this information valuable, that you're going to go out there and implement things that you've learned. And you already have the tools really to do this business and run with this business. You just need to get into activity. So I don't see any questions. Before we close out the call, I just love everyone to pop a really quick goal down below, because I forgot to ask, but what's your goal for the last 90 days of doing this business? Put that down below, share it with your upline, share it with an accountability partner, because that is really going to be huge for you. Once you have a target, then you can go after it. So make sure you have a clear-cut goal, and you're going to go out there and recruit like a rock star. Thank you everyone for coming. We're so excited to have shared this with you guys. If you have any questions, you can find me at Kristen Samaniego. It is a mouthful. Our names will be in the email, or Hayley Zeidman. She is the creator of Wellness Warriors, and I'm the creator of What a Motherhood. So we will see you guys very soon. We hope that you enjoyed all of this content. And if you have any questions or you think of any questions, you can reach out to us. We'll talk to you guys all later. Bye.
Well.